What is happening, people, and welcome to today's video where I want to cover the no hands deadlift or the neck lift. Now, before we even get into this video, I want to make it very, very clear. This lift is definitely not for everyone, and I really want to recommend it unless you find yourself in a situation where you are one-armed for quite a long time. The first time that I ever saw this exercise was a guy named Mike Tersher was actually using it as a deadlift assistance exercise, and I looked at it and said, you know, if I ever hurt myself badly and I'm only able to use one arm, then I'm going to use that exercise. And sure enough, like a year and a half, 2 years later, I found myself with a torn rotator cuff, and from that surgery, I got a bone marrow infection. So I found myself one-armed and in a sling for a very long time. However, I was able to use this exercise to go from pretty much a zero deadlift all the way up to a 700-pound deadlift in the amount of time that it took for the doctor to clear me. The very first day that my doctor said, you can start lifting weights again, I deadlifted 700 pounds. Now, this thing hits your middle back in a way that no other movement that I can really talk about does. However, it is super dangerous, so I thought I would go over some of the finer points today. Now, the best that I've ever gotten on this was over at Juju Fu's old house, and I think it was around like 550, 560 pounds that I did for a double. And then since then, like a million people watch that video. You guys have seen people like Larry Wheels and stuff like that do this exercise, but I haven't seen anyone actually put out a video of how to do it for you savages who are gonna try it on your assistance exercise, and for those of you who do end up injuring yourselves and wanna use this as an alternate to the deadlift. So I just thought I'd talk about some of those points today. The first of which is where to put this strap on the bar. Now, this is a Spud Inc. utility strap, but apparently they don't make this anymore. I just found out. They replaced it with something called the deadlift strap. I don't know if it's the same thing, good, bad, and different. I couldn't tell you, but you can do the exact same thing with the toe strap. This strap is just about 7.5, 8 feet long with loops at both ends. Now, I put the loops over top of the bar, over top of the collars, but I don't do that until I have one 45-pound bumper on there. And the reason why I do that is because if you put the strap on before the bumper or just onto the barbell itself, your range of motion is way too short. Like, you can do 1,000,000 pounds on this and it isn't going to affect you the way that it affected me to be able to get my deadlift from 0 to 700 so quickly. But when you put the 45-pound plate on and then you tuck underneath, it pretty much sets you up at the place where you would be at a standard deadlift height, maybe just a little bit in a deficit, and that is for a 6 foot tall individual. I'm 6 feet tall, so for most of you that will be applicable or within that range. The second thing that I want to talk about is the positioning of this strap on your neck. When you put this over top of the back of your neck, if you put it too low, like in a low bar squat position, this strap's gonna fall off when you stand up, and that's gonna be super, super dangerous. You don't wanna have the strap too low. However, if the strap is too high up on your neck, then the chance of you hurting your neck are also very, very high. So there's definitely a sweet kind of high bar squat position that you're going to need to keep this strap in, and you don't wanna rush that. Take your time. For the love of God, take your time, because if you're gonna hurt yourself in this exercise, that is where, because the strap is not in the proper position. Once the strap is over top of the back of your body, this bar is not gonna leave the ground until it hits a spot where it can travel in a straight line upward, and that's not gonna happen until the bar is back over top of the middle of your foot. So you're gonna have to roll this thing back by sitting down into almost a squat position. This is more of a high squat than a deadlift. It doesn't really hinge the same way. So you're gonna drop back in a squat far enough that the bar floats over top of the middle of your feet, and then you're gonna stand up. Your breathing, your bracing is the same, leg drive the same, all of that is the same, except it's going to be the hardest break of a deadlift that you've ever done in your life. Literally, 365 pounds feels like a truck to me, and 365 pounds is a weight that I can only clean and throw over top of my head. So make sure that the barbell is over top of the middle of your foot before you ever try applying force in the ground to lift it. But once you have lifted it once, that brings me to point number 4 that I want you to think about, and that is to lower this bar as slowly as possible and just let it trace your legs the same way you would on a second rep of a touch and go deadlift. Once the bar touches the ground, explode back up. Do not reset. Just stay in that perfect position, because you can't lower something of reasonable heavy weight under control in a poor fashion. Your body is going to lower it in the exact way that it can structurally do it as best as it possibly can, and that's going to set you up for your next rep in the perfect position or the perfect starting position. All right, so there you guys go. There is a quick down and dirty about the no hands deadlift or the neck lift. Like I said, it is not for everyone, and I would probably recommend that you do not use this unless you are in a one-arm situation. But since I have been in kind of a little bit of a one-arm situation again recently, this kind of made it back in the rotation. I thought for you savages who are going to look at it and say, I want to give that a try, I would give you some things to think about. So I thank you so much for absolutely everything. I know this isn't a video that a ton of people are going to like or watch, but for those of you who do need it, this is going to be massive, massive important, and I hope you feel better soon. I will catch you guys later in the week. Until I do, go out something amazing lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other. I'm going to go strap some things on.